Okay, so first of all, hello everyone. Thanks for foss-north to organize this event and invite me to be a speaker today. And in today's presentation, I will covering about the multi-cloud paradigm. Okay, what actually works and what actually doesn't work. Okay, so before getting started, I'd like to introduce myself a little bit. So I work as a cloud edge innovation engineer at OpenAvila Systems. We are based in Madrid, but I live currently in Valencia. Okay, I was born in Murcia, also in Spain, and I studied my master's degree at Eurocom, it's in the south of France, and then I finished at Arco University in Finland. There I worked also at Nokia. And then some of my main focus, as you can see, is cloud, AI. I support a home lab at home, have 2 mini PCs. And I also enjoy to write blog posts in Medium, that you can follow me in that if you are interested about getting to know more about Kubernetes, DevOps Cloud. And my current focus at OpenAvila is to develop new features and new applications as part of the innovation unit. So, the table of content, as you can see, I'll be covering about the multi-cloud, then what is OpenAvila and why it fits really good in this multi-cloud paradigm. Then I will show you how to install it, which is very easy, you will see, then covering one form, and then some key takeaways. Okay, so we are multi-cloud now. This is something that many CTOs said during this year and the last years. And the typical setup for many companies, as you can see, is AWS for production, Azure for analytics or inference or training in AI, and Google as well for machine learning. So we have many different accounts in many different clouds. And for many people, this is multi-cloud. But can our workload in AWS talk to one in Azure and going through public internet? Or do we have a single dashboard to manage all these workloads in different public providers, like public cloud providers? Or what happens when availability zones just goes down in Frankfurt? Can your Azure team take over this? So it's kind of, is there a real interconnection among all these workload? So this is the comparison between what we were promised about multi-cloud and the pain, okay? So the promise, deploy anywhere, no login, infinite flexibility, okay? So we have the same login everywhere, and there is a cost optimization, one bill, and then you can leave whenever you want. But the reality is that we have 3 vendors, we have 3 different paradigms, and then we have 3 operational pain, okay? 3 times the operational pain. So, in the end, we have 3 different logins, way to 3 different accounts, different networking in all the clouds, 3 observability stacks, and in the end you have a real login that is more expensive to leave to another cloud than to remain. Okay, so in the end, most companies have 3 disconnected clouds and not one multi-cloud strategy. So, real multi-cloud is not to replicate the same cloud, let's say, infrastructure into different clouds, but it's about federation, okay? I feel replication is basically to copy your stack into different clouds, and federation at the end is one single pane of glass or one brain managing all your backends. Okay, so it divides your pane into n, and replication, it basically multiplies the pane by n. So, I like to explain this federation with this Schengen metaphor. As you can see, we have 3 islands and 2 different worlds. As you can see in the left side of the screen, replication, it's 3 islands with 3 different governments, 3 different currencies, 3 visas needed to travel among these islands, okay? And then with federation, we could say it's like the Schengen zone, where you only have one passport to go to all of the islands without the need to have a visa, and then you have the freedom to move, okay? And this is a nice way to understand this difference. Okay, so you may be wondering, okay, this sounds really good, but anyone has ever tried to do this, like to deploy this in a real environment? So we did this in Virtora. Virtora is a pilot of IPCICs, it's a European project. the biggest open source project with European funding. Okay, OpenNebula is part of this project, and from this Virtora we built this virtual European hyperscaler, and we leverage 5 European cloud providers across 8 different countries in the whole world. Okay, not only Europeans, but from Canada to Australia and Europe, Singapore. Okay, there, as you can see, we have 10 different availability zones. They are bare metal infrastructures across Spain, Germany, France, UK, Singapore, Australia, and Canada. Okay, and everything is managed by one front end of OpenNebula. Okay, this is a more technical diagram, but it's very easy to get. We have the European zones, the non-European zones, but all of them are managed by OpenNebula. Okay. 6 advantages that you can get with federation. You can get neutrality. Okay, you escape this vendor blocking, because when you want to stop deploying your data or your workloads in one provider, then you just migrate it to another one. Then you have the resilience. Okay, we avoid this single provider failure. If there is one zone that goes down, then we can recover this data in another server. Automation. Later you will see why we offer how one form works in this federation paradigm. And then in the end, you can aggregate more capacity based on your needs. Okay, and also it covers this sovereignty approach that currently is very important in Europe. Okay, federation is really nice, but I've been talking about OpenNebula, but I haven't explained it yet, so let's get into it. OpenNebula is basically an open source cloud management platform. Okay, you can manage virtual machines, containers, Kubernetes clusters, LXC containers under a single pane of glass. Okay, just one dashboard, and then you can add servers, you can add bare metals, and then you can migrate the different VMs among all of them. You can scale up, down, based on your needs. And as I said, it's completely open source. And some of the key features, as you can see, it's multi-hypervisors. It's compatible with KVM and LXC. We cover the hybrid and the private cloud. What does it mean? That you have some, let's say, mini PCs or Raspberry Pis at home, and you also have bare metal at the office. You can add everything to OpenNebula, and then you can choose whatever you want to deploy your virtual machines. Okay, as you can see, also ARM64 native since the version 7.0. OpenNebula is compatible with ARM. So does it mean that you can deploy and you can manage your cloud only leveraging NVIDIA Jetson or Raspberry Pis, unlocking a real edge environment, right? Because yeah, with AMD you can do it, but normally constrained lightweight devices are more related to ARM, okay? Also due to its great consumption. So this unlocks like a real edge approach. Then Kubernetes, we are compatible with Cluster API or CAPI, OneKey, which is our own distribution, and RKE2, okay, from Ranger. Then we also have some AI features such as OneDRS that allows you to scale up or down based on the CPU, the RAM memory. Okay, it can be done automatically, or it can ask you for permission. Also MCP. Okay, you can deploy any workload just by chatting with your favorite AI tool, and then even non-tech people can actually deploy, let's say, one virtual machine. And then enterprise features as well, such as multi-tenancy, federation, the key feature of this talk, and also high availability. So how does federation work in OpenNebula? Federation is about connecting independent OpenNebula instances. Okay, we have different zones, and then we want to manage all of them under one single dashboard. Okay, then you can use only one API. You have one dashboard, one front end, and one marketplace. Okay, so how do we, let's say, change among different zones? This is the OpenNebula dashboard. As you can see, we have different virtual machines deployed, and in this red circle, if you click, you will see all of different zones like this one. This is the Virtora, okay, the pilot we created. And basically, you can see from one single window all of the different countries or zone in this case, and you can change among them just by clicking, you know, like, okay, right now I want to deploy one Kubernetes cluster in Germany, but then I want to migrate it to Spain for whatever reason, so this is totally possible. The shared marketplace, so we can, you can deploy private marketplaces, but also public ones. What does it mean? That you have for everyone like the same applications, and anyone in Germany, Spain, Sweden can get the same applications, okay? And also the possibility of deploying virtual data centers, okay? This unlocks the multi-tenancy isolation, okay? You can say, okay, I want this virtual networking for Spain, and then this database for another country, for another zone. So it's totally possible, this isolation, okay? Then, how to install OpenNebula? Okay, you may say, okay, I like OpenNebula, but what do I need? Is it very like heavy? So there is two ways: mini one and one deploy. Mini one is if you want to just start. Like right now, you go this afternoon, you have at home a Raspberry Pi, and you want to start like deploying your own cloud, okay, locally. Then it's basically a single script installer, okay, and it installs the whole stack, okay. It's optimized for edge nodes, for POCs, okay. We don't recommend this for production because it installs the basic, okay. And you just need to, like Ubuntu or any other Linux distribution. If I don't remember bad, it's compatible with OpenSUSE, Red Hat, Alma Linux, Ubuntu. In this case, I use Ubuntu, okay? You can do it with microSD or SSD. Then you update the system, and then you execute the script, okay? It's a few lines, as you can see, like 3 steps, 4 steps, and you have it running. It takes less than 2 minutes, more or less, like less than 2 minutes, and it's ready to go. About the RAM, it's the minimum 4 gigas of RAM and 20 gigas of storage, but it depends on your workload, right? Then one deploy. You say, okay, Pablo, you can deploy OpenNebula, but what if I need to manage 20 bare metals? Okay, we can install the OpenNebula packages in each of them, but it would take a lot of hours. So we deploy one deploy, okay? So one deploy is basically a set of Ansible playbooks that automate this deployment, okay, which is ideal for a multi-node cluster environment and for production as well. So this is very interesting because, as I said, you have maybe 20 bare metals in your office, and then you want to automatically provision all of them and manage all of them by your dashboard. So with one deploy, you can do it. It's compatible as well with ARM. It offers the high availability. Okay, if you want to have like more than one front end, and to install it is also very easy. Just few commands, and then what it configures like everything automatically: the storage, the networking, the KVM hypervisors in the node, and also the control plane. So one form, we've seen how to install it, how the federation works, but one form, it's a new feature that we implemented in OpenNebula 7.2. Okay, let's say you have an account in AWS, you have another one in Google Cloud, and then you want to still leverage this because for any reason like cost or whatever, but you don't want to use the easy to manage VMs, right? You want to manage your data, okay? You just want to leverage the bare metal. So we launched OneForm. OneForm is basically the tool that allows to provision automatically resources in on-prem and in public cloud, okay? It leverages under the hood Terraform and Ansible. It's compatible, as I said, with OnePrem, and you only need one public IP or the token from Amazon or Google or another OVH cloud, another provider. So by introducing in the front end the public IP, it will automatically provision. So what does it mean? That let's say tomorrow I buy a Raspberry Pi and I wanted to add it to my bare metal pool and everything managed by OpenNebula. I just need to expose it to the internet or using a VPN like WireGuard or Tailscape, and then it will automatically provision these other resources to this Raspberry Pi, and it will be ready to be managed by the same front end as I manage another bare metal in AWS or at my office. Okay, so it's also extensible in the sense that in the documentation of OpenNebula in GitHub, any provider can create the provider extension for OpenNebula. So what does it mean? Now we are currently working with Arcis, Ionos, OVH Cloud, Scaleway. So from the front end, you can just add your token from your account of these providers, and you can deploy automatically a bare metal, okay, without going to each of the different websites. So this feature it has been really like demanding by many providers. As you can see, like a easy comparison. Before we had to do this manually. Before we had to provision each bare metal individually, the SSH key, configuring the hypervisor, the networking. This was done with the CLI. You know that if you are tech, it's completely fine. You are comfortable with it. But sometimes we have administrators that are not very into the CLI, or they get scared when they see that dark window. So with one form, you just need only the public IP, the token. You just click the add host in the dashboard, and that's it. It will automatically add it to your OpenNebula. Okay. For understanding better where it fits this one form, okay, API, it's there in the middle. We can interact with the web UI, with the API or the CLI, okay, and it just right under those, the clients. And then under the hood, as I said, we have the drivers. They're from Ansible and other like manager, and then we have the OpenNebula core. Okay. So some key takeaways. Federation is the real strategy. Okay, we've seen that replication is not the best way sometimes, and federation, as we've seen in Victoria, it's the best way to manage multiple availability zones. Then one control plane, okay, to manage everything. At the end, it's very easy for most of the administrators to have just one single control plane. Then regarding OpenNebula, it's very efficient, just 90 seconds, and you can test it today at home. One deploy for production and one form to add new host. And then community. It's your turn now to deploy. As I said, OpenNebula, it can be a laptop, a VM, a Raspberry Pi. It's very easy to do. And then if you want to have this real multi-cloud infrastructure, you can leverage the Federation, which is a native tool by OpenNebula. And in the documentation is everything super well explained. And then contribute as an open source software. We have a community, we have a forum, we have the GitHub repo, and you can ask any question if you have any doubts. Also you can like contact me, and that's it. Thank you so much.